Umdy-dumdy, here we go. Another competition on a roll. That was Cappy, the first trike pilot, hitting 10 out of the 11 cones that we have set up for the swoop landing competition. We're taking advantage of great weather we did not expect to have today. We've already gotten one task done, and now we are just getting started with the swoop landing comp. This one's pretty straightforward. Try and knock down as many pins as possible. We've got 11, each set up about a yard apart. That is not an exact measurement. However, the start and finish pins are dead on. You're going to climb to approximately 500 feet, turn off the motor. You have to be in the air for 30 seconds. What that does is it forces the pilots to come up with a motor off approach in a controlled fashion. Gives them a minimum required height. Guy in my ear says that I should probably mention that I'm your commentator for today's event, James Jensen. Been helping out throughout this week. Longtime paramotor pilot and associated with several of our competitors out here today. So most of these folks I know something about, and we'll try and give you some colorful commentary on their flying. Oh, what a beautiful overhead shot we've got. The trikes are going to be going first in this competition. There's been some back and forth whether it would be an advantage or disadvantage to have wheels this morning, but our first competitor, Cappy, used that rear axle of his to take out 10 out of the 11. What do we call these things? Pins? Pins. Like bowling. Pins. We had a spot landing competition where you had to hit a specific point for your first touch. This is similar to that. Cappy's run? What about Cappy's run? Oh, we've got a replay of Cappy's run. He's diving towards the ground, he's accelerating, and then he's using brakes to level out, get a nice horizontal, and knock those over beautifully. I think that wider axle may be an advantage for our trikes this morning, but that was just the first competitor up and going. We've got a whole lot this morning. We're going to see how they fare. Not a single practice run has been done since we got out here on Sunday, so while they may have been practicing some swoop landings for fun at the end of tasks, this is not something that any of these pilots have been preparing for. A lot of this is just straight skill and proficiency from what you've gained in your flying career. It's a great test of adapting in the moment. So we had James Sutherland take off, and then we've got Gudio taking off. I'm glad to see that his wing is in a flyable condition. There was a bit of concern just a few minutes ago when he finished the last task and put his wing down on top of a barbed wire fence. He did it so gently, though, that he appears to be fully intact and flying safely in the air. So we're going to have a couple of pilots in the air at any one time. Some pilots are going to be climbing, preparing themselves for their run, while the next set of pilots are setting up, getting ready to launch. So we should have a couple of pilots circulating in the air. They'll be getting a flavor of what the wind is doing as they climb through here. There is a wind shear layer on the ground. It's coming out of the west, and just a few hundred feet up, it's coming right out of the south. I need to double check that. Directional wind shift on the wind of over 90 degrees. So they're going to be coming in. They're going to have one wind affecting their ground speed. As they come in, it's going to change, and they will need to either A, have prepared for that, or B, uh, adjust as they make their final approach. We've got, I'm not sure who's going to be coming down next. They're both motor on. They do have to kill their motor for this. Looks like Gudio's going to be next up. So he's flying right over the task, right over the bullseye that he's going to be aiming for and those pins, and then he's going to cut off the motor and float back down to Earth. If he does it in controlled fashion, he's going to convert all of that potential energy into kinetic energy where he swoops right along the ground. Those pins are only about 2 feet tall, so you've got a small margin of error where you have to be on track, on line, and have the energy you need in order to put her down right where you want to. That's going to be a lot of fun. I think we have Jillian joining us in a minute. There goes Nick Fazekas. His takeoffs are just as predictable as always. He's got a great consistency with those wheels. Jill, do you have any thoughts on this task? What sort of things are going to result in success? What sorts of things are going to be complicating this task? Do I have to hit the button? One button pressed.
Things that can complicate, definitely just not gauging your glide slope well enough. You know, miscalculating the wind and the speed of the wind, and maybe bleeding off altitude faster than you think, making turns at the wrong times. I think biggest goal is to make the last pin, to imagine it as that being the center of your target, so that you are flaring directly over the ones before it and landing essentially on that final pin.
So you're kind of treating the last pin like the STOL line a little bit.
Exactly,
where
yeah.
If you come down with enough energy, you can swoop through the earlier pins.
Yeah. So ideally, you want to get that nice swoop down before that last pin, rather than starting your swoop at that last pin.
Okay, so here comes James Sutherland. What we mean by swoop is that these come in on a nice linear line when you're off power, but if you get that glider pointed towards the ground for a minute, it'll accelerate and give you a lot more. He's trying to, he's going to be... Oh, that was great.
That was pretty good. I thought it was going to be a little short there.
He came up a little bit short on energy, wasn't able to stay on track for the last couple of pins, but he had to fight to get the ones he did because he was just a little bit short. That was fantastic. We can see him pumping his brakes, working to use all the lift that the wing has to knock those pins down with the back of the trike.
Okay, nice. Yep. He hit those first 7 before that wheel touchdown.
That is not an easy task. We're going to see a lot of people struggling. Cappy getting 10 out of the first 11 on the very first go was...
That was amazing.
I have a feeling that's going to be a great score.
Yep. I agree. Who are you most excited to see going today?
I was not going to say the trikes, but we've had 2 competitors, and they've had 2 exciting landings already.
They have, yeah.
So we need to get some more pilots up in the air. These trikes are getting up and coming down. They're ready to play the game, so we got to get some more pilots launching here. We got Colby Hilby soon up in the order. We got Gudio coming in, working on his final approach here. Oh, that looks like a nice smooth. He's going to give it a little flare.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. We'll see how many they give him points for.
Yeah.
Because when you land, that is the end of the pins that get counted. So some of these trikes, they've continued to knock over the pins after they landed.
See
So
that instant replay here.
I think instant replay is going to be crucial in getting correct scoring for this.
I'm going to watch those back wheels when they... Oh, okay. They touched pretty early, so he may have only gotten 2 or 3 pins there.
That's what you were saying, getting that glide slope right, getting your final approach lined up so you have enough speed to not just get to the pins, but to get all the way through the pins.
Yes, exactly.
But it's deceiving because you're aiming for the first pin. You got to hit.
Yeah.
You want to hit the first pin, but you got to have enough energy to get to the last pin if you're going to try and get them all.
He's getting some help.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to this whole thing. I think this is going to be one that the pilots look forward to showcasing their control and fine-tune abilities to hit where they want on landings.
We are lacking a lot of competitors this morning, so we've already got quite a few DQs and scores of 0 on the board, just because people thought the winds were going to be bad this morning, so they went off field and stayed the night other places and couldn't make it back this morning.
It was, to everybody's eyes, iffy at best. We had some micrometeorologists who know this area. We have professional pilots who are helping us out with the forecasting. That even though the models were looking terrible, they said we think we're going to have a weather flying window. It started awful rough in the half hour before sunrise when it first became legal, and it's just turned into a fantastic flying conditions.
It really has. I felt silly for deciding to spend the night in my tent, but I'm glad I stayed.
Nick's got some speed here. If he can dump it to get to that first pin, he's coming in long.
Oh, okay. He got one.
That was where he could have used a little bit of wiggling to drop that altitude, but he came in with plenty of speed. It's just getting all of those things lined up. This is precision that requires you to fiddle with the wind, the altitude, your approach. It's really a great all-around competition for your skills.
Yeah, if he had decided to maybe hold some brake and swoop that glider a little bit quicker, he maybe could have dropped a little bit more altitude and gotten a longer swoop, but he came in pretty high over those pins.
It's and this is a task that any pilot can perform on every flight.
Absolutely. Yeah,
you know you're going to land. So
you can decide to land off motor every single time you go fly. You can go up to 500 feet above your LZ, turn that motor off, and practice your swoop landing every single time. It's what Leah Katula does every time she lands.
We saw that this morning. A number of pilots were taking advantage of this return to practice hitting the spot out in the center or making a clean, nice short approach right over the fence to come to the LZ for their landing after the slalom course task. Speed run. So, yeah, this is one of those tasks that every pilot has to land, and even a new student with 2 or 3 flights is landing on their feet and into the wind, but elevating that with precision and your control of the glider can absolutely showcase proficiency in one of the most basic tasks, hitting the ground.
Yep. Yeah, it's really turning out to be a beautiful morning. I was not expecting this. It is already warming up. I think I might need to shed some layers before I go up. But just not even an hour ago when I was in the sky, I took one glove off while I was doing the course so I could zoom in on my phone a little bit easier. And my hand was freezing.
That's nice thing about Florida in December is that it's 9:30 in the morning and we're getting undressed because there's too many layers.
As soon as that sun pops up.
That's just another factor that you have to try and account for on every flight is what's the weather in the air and what's the weather on the ground.
Yep.
So we're looking at launching a couple of pilots here. I was really impressed with how quickly all of our trike pilots got going.
Yeah, me too.
Killed power and got their first scores entered here. I think the trike pilots have been some of the most eager competitors on the field, rip-roaring to get out there and put some miles in the sky, and so I'm not surprised at how efficient they were this morning. The foot launch field is a little bit larger. It takes a little bit more coordination to get set up and going, but I think once we're into it, it'll accelerate. We'll be moving just as fast as we can get pins set up.
I think James Sutherland's going to be pretty happy when he sees his scores. He's competitive, and I think he'll be a little disappointed. I think, did Cappy get more than him, or did he?
Cappy went out and crushed it. He set a high standard
like 10,
for the
right?
field, 10 out of the 11.
He'll definitely be.
The review might have to show he touched down. We might have to take one or two off of that, but it's a great place to start.
He's going to
really
be a little
set the pace for the field.
Little ego bruised that Cappy beat him, but I think he'll be happy with his final result.
I really hope we get a couple of rounds in this end because these competitors are going to get a sense of, oh, I needed to aim here instead of there. I need to adjust a little bit, gain more ground speed.
You know, in my experience practicing this, you know, I'll have days where I'm nailing it every single time, and I'll have days where I just can't get it. So it can come down to like just your mental space and you know, while you're up there, if you're staying completely focused and you are really dialed in with your glide slope and the gear that you're flying and the wind speeds, but sometimes you just get in your head and you think, I'm just going to take this turn a little bit further, then you bleed off way too much altitude, come in short, maybe you're coming in a little bit high. So it's a true testament if you can just nail it every single time. I was so highly impressed by Whitney nailing that spot landing 2 times in a row during that spot landing task. So we'll see how she does today. I'm excited to see her swoop landing because I don't think she has practiced this.
I don't think that I've seen her practicing this particular one either, but her energy management with that wing is pretty fabulous.
It is fabulous, and I think if she nailed that spot landing pretty well, I've got a good feeling she's going to do well on the bowling as well.
And to the best of my knowledge, she doesn't even play with her trimmers when she's coming in for landing. She just leaves them at their stock position, the neutral. If you trim out, the wing goes faster, it has more energy, and it allows you to have a longer swoop. And Colby here, I know, he's adjusted his trimmers in just the last few days. So we'll see how that affects his swoop. The carve should be well suited to this task that he's flying. From there, it's a game of skills and precision. Jim is taking off now with his orange on orange color scheme. He's been really consistent in his landings so far as well. I don't know how much swoop he's going to have on that Charger, but I have a feeling he's going to be putting it right where he wants to. Let's see if we can get James Sutherland over here. He's always a good chatter to have. He's got a lot to say on the task, and since he's already went and knocked down a few pins, he'll have some details for us. It's good to have you back, sir. So you were one of the first competitors back. We got to chat to you this morning while you were all bundled up for the speed, and now you've had a chance to be one of the first competitors to do the swoop landing. Colby coming in sideways.
He's going to get one.
He's
yes,
not
he
going to get
is.
them all, but he's got one.
Yes, he did.
He had to make an adjustment on the fly where he did not want to approach from that angle, about 90 degrees off of ideal if you're trying to hit them all down. He'd come in a little long. If he hadn't made that final turn, I think his score would have been 0.
Yeah.
So
it does seem a little bit off the wind direction, the course does. So you have to come in sort of dogging.
yeah. So how was your run? You went out there and you got about half of them. Is that right?
Yeah, I got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 out of 11, I guess.
Okay.
But I don't know if my wheel was down.
Right.
So I don't know how that works, but I tried to keep my wheel up. I can't. I practiced it with my feet.
Oh.
But at the end they said you have to use your wheels. So
Okay.
here it is.
So we got a replay of James. You almost ran out of energy. We saw you pumping just to keep that.
I thought for
hovering
sure I
over the
was
ground.
not going to make it, and then I just flew and caught it. Like, I didn't touch there. I did finally touch there. I think I got 7. I might have gotten 6. I'd love to see the difference between that and Cappy's.
Oh, I'll be honest. Cappy had a beautiful.
Oh, here's
flight.
Cappy's. Here we go.
He came in with a good swoop with lots of energy. He
Boom,
translated
boom.
that
Stopped.
energy into horizontal.
I think he stopped after about 5.
You think that way?
I want to say it.
That's. I am so glad that we've got the
I'm
instant
hoping.
replay in the slow motion, because it's going to come down to fine margins.
The
Here we've got Jim coming in. He scored pretty good on the stole and the spot landing.
looks like he's got good height.
I don't know how much
Got
swoop that
good-
wing
oh,
has.
he's got a lot of
there's
brake
a nice
pressure.
little swoop.
Oh,
He's
yes.
going to level it out.
Oh,
Ding,
come
ding,
on.
ding, ding, ding.
See what I'm saying? He hit right over the target.
Right.
But he dissected this.
Bisected at an angle.
Yeah, broke it right in the middle.
We like to land into the wind. The wing wants to land into the wing, and it's pushing our competitors to come off the wind line a little bit in order to get a nice, smooth, safe landing.
Yeah, that's really tough. That was just from wind direction. He had a great cruise through. I think that was a tough read.
Everything's set up correctly, and that wind line
It just
can
changes.
affect. Yeah, that was a beautiful landing. If there wasn't a whole line of pins, I would give that full marks as a beautiful landing.
I think it's really neat that we're hanging out with a bunch of pilots that are going to give you a beautiful landing. It's just whether or not they can give you a beautiful landing, and that's such a cool situation.
And on such a forced angle.
Yes. Like it still didn't look like he was going to do something dangerous. It didn't feel like to me I had to have any anxiety watching him. That's the mark of a good pilot. Heard somebody say that one time. I think he's right.
Good pilots make it look easy.
Yeah, and they make it look smooth and they make it look safe, regardless of whether it is. It looks doable. Yeah.
I wish I knew what was going out there with the pins, because they're on the ground. Looks like they're stakes that they're using. They might be changing the angle. They might be. I think that's what they're doing. It appears that our wind direction has settled down a little bit, and we're saying that crosswind approach makes things extremely difficult.
Yeah,
So
I'm afraid that Jim's would have been a very good run if it had
Absolutely.
been
yeah, so
possible to do it.
we're changing the setup here. The first couple of competitor scores are not going to be final. I think we're going to get a couple of runs in this here today,
Oh, okay.
and
That's awesome.
because we can't score them effectively with one run off of a win line. So, being that this is the first competition and we've got the wind switching, I
they're
expect
learning out
either
there.
multiple runs or possibly a second run. I'm not sure.
Wonder if they need extra help out there, just manpower. I think next time we're
extra
gonna try
sets of hands.
Yeah,
we can absolutely follow up with Gata and see if
that would help
if
out.
we can provide some. Maybe we'll holler at her and get her over here.
I can't believe I floated as long as I floated.
Right? I definitely
That was so cool.
did not expect that extra lift.
I didn't expect it.
It was one of those that you had more than you even realized.
I was still cursing it when I landed, thinking that it didn't, but it had to.
Do you need any extra volunteers helping you out on the field? Some of our trike pilots are landed and just jabbering away here.
But we got to get ready for the next run if we're gonna. Hey, Mr. Jim Seward here.
Okay.
He's ready. Simmered.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh,
all
boy,
right,
I'm
James.
loud.
Thanks for coming by and stopping in. Tell us how you did on the trike here. You go kick our pilots into action, get them up into the sky so we can get them down, knocking over pins and doing it all again. We were just remarking that if we hadn't seen, Jim, that there was pins out there. Oh, here comes Whitney Horkey. She's coming in hot. She's coming in high. Oh, wow. Look at that.
Nice little swoop.
God. Oh! All of them with a clean landing. God dang, that is dangerous.
All right, did you fall in love?
It's too late for that, bud. Too late for that with Whitney Horkey. She is an absolute delight. Gosh, dissecting that. She came in a little bit high, swooped herself a little bit, gave her the energy. Not only was she lined up with all of those pins at the right height, at the right time, you saw her turning her feet to give her the biggest bat to swing it and knock those things over with.
It's
11 out of 11, a perfect score.
It's really nice that they reorientated the pins directly into the wind.
We were just talking about that. Without the pins, we would have given your landing close to perfect marks, Jim. And you landed dead into the wind, and the pins weren't set up for it. So we're definitely going to have to consult with the judges and the rule makers, and hopefully we'll get you a couple of runs where you're into the wind, and maybe you can give us a perfect run just like that.
Oh,
Coming in hot is Wallow. Oh! He's safe. His equipment looks safe. I don't think those pins are going to count, and he was already on the ground. But that was an example of making maneuvers close to the ground reduces your ability for final flare and reduces your ability to square it up on landing. He comes sliding in there. He recognized that he didn't get it the way he wanted, and that was actually a pretty well-controlled slide on an approach that did get away from him a little bit. He's on his feet. He's not limping. His equipment's in one piece. There's no broken prop. He's got a little pride injured, but I expect he'll be getting up and giving it another go before too long. Yeah, so he's making his final swoop there. He's turning, and here he has to turn back to square it up. And what happens is he's just run out of energy to stay in the air. You only have so much energy in the wing that you can build. If you put too much energy into the wing, you just go right back up. And we've got Dro taking off. Dro has not been able to compete in all of the events. He's been participating in some of the media as well. So he hasn't gotten as many flight hours. Maybe he'll be less fatigued. It'll be exciting to see what happens when he comes in a few minutes. Whitney Horkey setting a high standard for this swoop event, coming in and making 11 out of 11 pins look easy.
You know what they say, if you're not first, you're last.
Good old Ricky Bobby.
Tippy, tippy, tappy, tappy, tappy. Yeah.
What did you do to get that landing so perfect? Oh, here comes. That's a nice landing.
Ooh, almost all of them.
He stretched. That was a stretch.
I would say either 9 or 10 out of 11 on that one.
I'm trying not to call it live because
That's fair.
We saw some of them. It looked like our first competitor had got 10 out of 11, but on review we saw he had hit his wheels a little bit early, so he didn't get as high of points.
Shucks.
This one is feet in the air, stretching,
Nice.
and still managing to putting it on his feet. This is a real test. When you run out of energy, that wing stops flying and you're still off the ground.
Yeah.
It can get exciting real quick.
Yeah, so I approached mine just the same as I did my spot landings, honestly. I think my secret technique,
Your secret sauce?
my secret sauce, kill the motor, drop the throttle. You don't have the throttle in your hand anymore.
Oh, it's one less thing to worry about
One less
with
thing
the
to think
brakes.
about. And
Okay.
honestly, I did it on both my spots. I just did it on this one. I'm 3 for 3, so I guess the formula works, right?
All right, you heard it here, folks. First key to being a championship pilot is to be 5 foot 0 inches.
And fly a giant motor frame. Yeah, it was a good one. I felt good about it as I was coming in. I had the, the tingle you get when you're like, I'm gonna nail this.
Sure. So how far back from the first pin is that approach dialed? Like, are you over these trees behind the field going, I've already got this on lock? Are you putting a toe on the horizon looking to see if you're lifting or falling?
Nope, not at all. It was just kind of feeling the wind, and it's interesting up there where we kind of hang out at like 250, 300 feet. The wind is out of a different direction, so you have to accommodate for that as you're coming in over the tree line here.
Here we have Brooke Sheffield coming in. He's coming in a little bit low, but
Work that brake.
He's got some brake. He's gonna swoop it up a little bit, and that's a nice clean approach. Oh, I think that might be all of them. That was an excellent landing.
That's good.
Good, smooth, clean flare. That looked controlled all the way in.
Yeah.
He knew well before he hit the first pin that he was gonna have success.
Let's watch that instant replay.
If you watch his hands very carefully, those are minute adjustments that he's making to the trailing edge of the wing to compensate speed and altitude for that final approach. That was
We'll have to look at the replay on that if he touched the ground before that last
It's just a
pin.
pleasure to watch you guys. Yeah, it's going to come down to replays in slow motion because I think these are going to be too close to call with the naked eye. And I'm sitting about as close as you can to the field. Our camera watching those pins is as close as you can get besides being the judge. But I'm glad we're getting it all on film because there's going to be some contested reviews. I wouldn't be surprised with the caliber of these pilots today.
I bet so. If you feel like you got them all, look at that in super slow-mo.
Gosh, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Looks like Scott's coming in on power, which doesn't seem correct. I don't think he understood the assignment.
That is possible. We've had so much going on today that things have been changing so fast.
Oh no, that's not Scott. That's Dro.
Okay.
My bad. Dro doing an attempt here. Ooh, he got a couple. Hey, not bad.
I will say that is pretty typical. Your average paramotor pilot coming in doesn't do much for swoops, fiddling around with the acceleration of the wing close to ground. He's got a nice, clean, straight approach path on an intermediate glider. It's not designed to rocket you into the ground. It's not the fastest wing, so he doesn't have as much horizontal ground travel available.
And in fact, this isn't even an intermediate glider. This is a Mojo Power.
That's a Mojo?
Yeah, Mojo Power 2.
Well, I'm color me impressed because that has the glide of a
yacht.
Well-flattened rock, yeah.
That's all right. You can do a lot with the Mojos these days. And if you time it just right, you can have a little bit of a quote-unquote swoopy landing.
Yeah, go out there, practice it yourself. I I'd be hard pressed to get half of those pins with a Mojo. That's it. It is designed for safety and stability, and to get you up there flying, having a good time. It is not a performance wing, and so success by any measure is a success.
I'm talking to Brooke off camera. He confirmed with the judges he got 10 out of 11.
10 out of 11.
Yes. We've got Adrian launching
Good
here.
eyes.
Go and get his attempt.
I want to see Adrian put down a clean landing. He's told me in between events that he is a navigation expert back in the UK. It's what he specializes in. And when he gets back to the ground, he's just glad he's there. So getting back to the ground where he wants to be, when he wants to be on heading is a bit of a challenge for him.
Oh, Pono has something to say behind the wheel over there, honking the horn. He's just pissed he's stuck in the truck.
He absolutely is.
Well, we got Adrian getting up there to where he needs sent. Adrian being our only pilot entry from the from Great Britain. And he is hoping to not break any props today, right, James?
Hitting the ground, he's done exceptionally solidly. Sometimes with his equipment as well as his feet.
He certainly has.
So.
All right, we've got our Scott Julius taking off on our, he's on either on a Sirocco or a Spider, I can't remember which. Thank you very much. He's on a Spider. He's going to go make his attempt for the landing here. We're watching.
Here he comes. Oh no! Oh no!
Pardon my French.
Well,
you know what? I would venture to say that because the cone's tipped over, I don't know how they're gonna pull this one. If they're gonna allow him to go again, because the
he
cones,
was gonna miss those cones regardless.
Yeah.
He was still over the heights of the last cone, so there wasn't a chance at the earlier cones.
They did tip over right before he came down for it, so I mean it happened right at the moment when he was making his flare. I don't know. We'll defer it to the judges to make that decision.
They could go a couple of ways on that one. The degree to which he missed would have been required to hit any of the pins, I'm not sure. But as this develops, we'll know more.
I see we've got Leah talking it over with him. We had one of our other line judges out there talking it over with him, making a decision, it looks like here. We've got Scott up there positioning himself, getting ready. Once he sees the checkered
look at
flag.
That foot drag. That's a sign of controlled precision.
Yeah, she got the steez. Steezy Merkel over here. All right, we've got Scott staging himself. Leah's giving him the go-ahead that he can start his approach over the field, clap his legs, turn the motor off, and aim for 11.
That prop is already slowing down.
Yep, he's on his glide.
So he's going to be making an approach. I believe he was doing some unauthorized practice earlier in the week, clipping some of the cones that we have out there in order to protect the competitors from running into holes in the field.
Oh, did he now?
Absolutely. This is a active agricultural field.
All right,
so
here
it
he
is
comes.
not perfect, but I like his swoop. He's got some speed. He's going to need some brakes.
Oh, no, he's a little short.
He just ran.
Kick one. Kick it. Yeah, there you go, Scotty. That's the spirit. That's the spirit.
The mark of a good landing is one that the wing is still under control.
Yeah, look at that kite job. Nice job.
So while he didn't put it down exactly where he wanted it to, he put it down with control.
Yeah.
Just like Adrian, just because he didn't hit the pins, a safe landing is the first step.
Yep. And we got Luigi. He just took off on his F3.
I'm excited to see what Luigi can do. He's been a top competitor in every event that he hasn't gotten out of bounds on.
Yeah.
And his flying skills have really shown that ability.
Kyle's just taken off, getting up in the sky to join the stack. Jillian is making her circuit attempt right now. I'm rooting for you, sis. Let's get her done. Show us our skills.
Yeah, you don't need big, strong muscles to hit the point where you're going. You've got a wing. It's doing the work. You just have to work with it. I like to describe it as a dance between the wing and the pilot because they're working together to get where they need to go.
Absolutely. And you're communicating with the wing. The wing's communicating with you constantly. There she is setting up her last turn here.
She is high a little bit yet, so she's bleeding a little bit.
I got it.
And she's got to get back onto the wind line at some point, though. Coming right over us here.
Yes,
this
girl.
is going to be good. I like that height. I like that. Oh, that's a lot of brake. That's a lot of brake. That's a lot of brake.
Yep. Oh, short. Dirt. Dirt instead of foam. It's harder than it looks.
It's a lot harder than it looks.
A lot harder than it looks, folks.
Do we have a replay on that? I'd like to just walk through. We can see that she is on a lot of brakes for that final approach.
I think her fear was that she was high, and we're going to go completely over the top, and you slow your...
She was worried about overshooting it.
Yeah, you
now,
slow it
if we watch here, we can see, if you know what you're looking at, she's pulling a lot of brakes, which pulls a lot of energy out of the wing, and... there's no swoop left.
Yeah, unfortunately, she braked too late. She broke too late in order to induce that swoop to come in and get that energy carry across the ground to get to those foam noodles, unfortunately. It's tricky, man. And that wind up there, even 100 feet above us, is totally different than what it is right here.
Absolutely. So that final approach is changing things up in real time.
Yeah. Oh, Pono says yes. Kyle's up there, positioning himself.
Kyle loves a swoop landing. Let's see if he can put it on the line today.
Yeah. We're missing, I don't know where Luigi ran off to. Oh, there he is. I lost him in the sunshine. You know, he's got that blue and white APCO wing. It blends right in with the sky.
We've got a lovely sky today.
All right, Luigi's making his approach now.
Kyle's on brakes and he's just hovering.
Yeah.
We've got so that means it's probably close to 20 miles an hour,
Yeah.
200 feet above the ground.
You know, I'm sitting here watching the foam noodles. They're vibrating in the wind. Leah's watching them to make sure that they don't tip over prematurely, like what we had on Adrian's.
I like Luigi's approach here. Oh, don't overturn it. Don't overcook it. That's a swoop if I ever seen one.
Yeah.
He's going to come in with some energy.
Flap it, flap it, flap it. Oh my goodness, he's high.
Oh, don't swoop into the ground.
Oh, bugger.
Just a little bit short. Gauging this wind is...
It was a bold strategy, James, and it did not pay off.
I was afraid you were going to call me cotton there for a minute.
Just goes to show that it's anybody's game in this competition.
And it shows that some of our top competitors who have competed internationally have skill sets that they've built and developed and may not apply to every task.
Yeah, man, I saw that slow-mo replay there for Luigi, and he committed to that swoop, but just a little too late.
He missed it just a little bit.
Kyle's going sendy with his attempt. Oh, yeah.
No way.
Oh,
no
yeah.
way. You do not have enough height left for that.
He's coming in perpendicular is what he's doing. See what
he's looking
got.
for a final 90-degree. This is an
This
advanced
is good.
maneuver
This
coming
is
in
looking
diagonally.
Good. This is looking good. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, he wasn't short. He got 3, though. Very nice, buddy. My boy Kyle.
As we've seen here already in just the first handful of competitors, there's going to be a wide range of scores. And
that was a really good first round there. That was our last competitor landing there.
Oh, it was.
Yep.
Holy smokes.
Yep.
Round 1 complete.
Round
just
1
that
is
quick.
complete.
Gosh, you guys are getting good.
Well, we're trying to make it as efficient as possible to get it done. And we'll have to see if we get another round attempt here.
Absolutely. The first spot landing that you folks did took over an hour for the first round of competition, and that was like 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
Okay.
So under. So we are missing a few competitors. That speeds up the event as well.
That is true. We have less numbers on this round since we did lose a few folks for the weather.
But we're now into day 6 of the competition.
Yeah.
And so the rhythm of the events is falling into place a little bit. The pilots are getting more comfortable, getting more efficient. We need to do a few more rounds of this and see what they can do.
All right, I'm going to get a step away and listen to what Leah has to say about the group and what we're going to do next.
End of round 1. Let's see what's to come.
Yeah.